Kids taking breaks all the time. Okay, here we go.
I've never taken a break in this class.
So, factoring trinomials with a leading coefficient. So, in example 1, you see the 2. If the 2 wasn't here, it's really easy. For example, we did the 2 examples, x squared plus 7x plus 12, and we did x squared minus 1x minus 30. And if there's no number, no leading coefficient, it's simple. Multiples of 12, that add up to 7. We did that. X plus 3, x plus 4, right? If there's no leading coefficient, it's easy. What are the multiples of 30? Negative 30, negative 6, positive 5, right? It's easy, okay? Negative 6, positive 5. These are the easy ones. We did these in geometry. Now, if there's a number in front, then we know the multiples of 5 won't make an 11. You guys agree with that? Well, in example 1, I have the answer on purpose because we want to take a look at this. So before we do anything, let's show how these two are the same answer. Let's show how these two, this binomial, x plus 1, 2x plus 1, and x plus 5, is also 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. So if I multiply, FOIL it, I get a 2x squared plus a 10x plus a 1x plus a 5, right? I combine the two middle terms and I get a 2x squared plus an 11x plus 5, okay? Now, if I were to factor 2x squared plus 11x plus 5, listen carefully. The multiples of 5 will not make an 11, right? But with the help of the 2, we'll get it. Okay, the multiples of 5 will not make an 11, right? But with the help of the 2, we'll get it. So if I factor this, even though I know the answer is this, I would still start off with parentheses, parentheses. Okay, I do know the answer, but we're going to ignore the fact I know the answer. I know the only way I can get, and I'm going to use some colors here. Find my colors. Here we go. I want orange. The only way I'm going to get a 2x squared is really 2x times 1x. 2x times x, right? It's the only way I'm going to get. Only way I'm going to get a 2x squared. Now, the only way I'm going to get a 5. The only way I'm going to get a 5 is a 5 and a 1, or a 1 and a 5. Either a 5 and a 1 or a 1 and a 5. And it's really important that we put it in the right place. I know the answer is 1 and 5. If it was 5 and 1, I'd get a different answer. So where I put the 5 and the 1 is important. So just to do it wrong, and don't write this down, just to do it wrong, if I put 1 and if I put 5 and 1 here, don't write this down. I want you to see why this answer is wrong. I want to make this. So if I check my double smiley, right? I talked to you about the double smiley. That's a 5x. That's a 2x. They would not make an 11, would they? So where I put them is really important. So I really don't want to go 5 and 1. I really should go 1 and 5. And the way I can check it is with that double smiley. The double smiley helps me check my middle term. Well, my middle term is an 11, right? So let's see. Now I have a 10x and a 1x, and if I add those two, I get a 11x. So this is the correct answer. I have a 2x plus 1 and x plus 5. I knew that already, though, because I showed you how these two are the same problem. Okay. Now, example 2 is the other, isn't it? So example 2, if I need to factor it, we kind of looked at it over here, but I erased it. Well, let's start here, factor, okay? So if we're going to factor a trinomial, begin with parentheses. Always start there. When we factor a trinomial, always start there, because it's the opposite of FOIL. What we get here is something that looked like this. Well, I start there, then the next piece I do is I ask myself, how am I going to make a 2x squared? Something here and something here has to make a 2x squared. Well, it's got to be 2x and x. Agreed? Agreed? 2x and x. And the way I'm going to make a 5 something here, I've got to use a 5 and a 1. Or a 1 and a 5. But in this case, I need to make the 7, right? So this time I'm going to put the 5 here and the 1 here. And if I check my double smiley, it's got to make my 7, right? Well, if I have a positive 5x, and if I have a positive 1x, I'll have a 5x and a 2x do make my 7x. This is the correct factor for this trinomial. These two are really the same answer, but in factored form and in standard form. They're both the same. They're the same exact expression, factored form and standard form. Okay? Thumbs up? Okay. Okay, example 3. Example 3. So example 3, again, start with parentheses, 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 parentheses. Start there, right? How are we going to make a 3x squared? How are we going to make a 3x squared? Yeah, 3x, x. Are we agree with that?
I have a question.
Yes.
But we couldn't do like 2x. 2x? Yeah, but I'm saying rather than that example, you can't like transfer this.
When you do all the
Yeah. Okay, so then, how do you make a negative 2? Don't worry about the 1 yet. How do you make a negative 2? What times what makes negative 2? Well, it's got to be a positive and a negative. Agree? You got to have a positive and a negative. Everybody agree with that? So, what do you think? Okay, I hear negative 1 and 2, so let's put it down. Negative 1, positive 2. Is this correct? How do we know? How do we check it? So let's check our double smiley. And I get a negative 1x and a positive 6x isn't going to make a 1. So what do we do? Switch it around. Let's try to switch it around. So what if I switch these around? Okay. You want to go minus 2 and positive 1? Okay. So let's check that. And then I'm going to get a negative 2x and a positive 3x. Does that make a negative 1?
No.
But we can make that negative 1 by changing the signs. What if I make this a positive 2 and a negative 1? I think that would work, wouldn't it? So sometimes it's guess and check, which is no fun. I know that, but sometimes that's the only way we can get our answer, okay?
And this always works.
Always. That double smiley is always the check. If it doesn't factor at all, we're going to do a thing called the quadratic formula, but we're not there today, okay? Okay, so then, start there, right? Everybody agree? Factor, start there. And what has to go, I got a 5x squared, so what has to go? What has to go there and there?
5x and x.
Perfect. I agree. 5x and x. What times what makes negative 3?
3 and 1.
3 and 1. Okay, so let's try 3 and 1. Okay. Did we guess pretty quickly? Let's check it out. Double smiley, right? I got a 3x and a 5x. How am I going to make a negative 2? Tell me. You got it. Negative 5, so I put a negative there, right? And a positive 3. See, you're getting it, aren't you? Getting the hang of this. Do you remember doing this in geometry at all? Michael probably does, because Michael probably had it, right?
Brain break.
I just had algebra.
That's true. Not yet. We got the back, and then we'll take a brain break, okay? It will be okay. Turn the page. Okay, now, number 5. Start here, right? Now this one's a little bit harder because you have 2 ways to make a 6. 6 and 1 and 3 and 2, right? 6, 1, and 3 and 2. So, I don't know, let's start with something. What do you want to make? 6x squared?
6 and 1.
6 and 1, can I talk you out of that? So if this number in the middle is really big, here, Retta, here's a hint. If the number in the middle is really big, use extreme numbers. Does that make sense? Or like if this number here is like a 30, I can see a 30, can't you? You see my 30? Maybe you don't see it yet. But let's try to use 3 and 2. Sorry, Retta. 6 and 1 is not a bad guess. I just don't want to erase. Let's try a 3x and a 2x, okay?
Oh. Yo.
But that was my question earlier. You said
Since when can we do this?
I guess I didn't understand your question, Sophia. I should read it. Oh, I don't know. I should listen better, huh? And then what about my 5? What times what makes 5? 5 and 1. Okay, let's see it. 5 and 1. Let's see if we're right. I think you got it. I see it. Do you see it? You guys guessed right. How do I know you guessed right? How do I know you guessed right? How do you check it? Double smiley, right?
Double smile.
I've got a 10x, a 3x, could make a 13 if it's a positive 5x and a positive 1. Yeah, number 6. How am I doing? Okay, so parentheses, parentheses. Now, Retta, I like your guesses, but I wouldn't use 15 and 1 because if this were a really big number, I would. Does that make sense? Am I making sense on that? Okay, good. So what do you want to start with? 15 is what? What should we use?
5x and 3.
Good, I like that. 5x, 3x, I think that's a great idea.
I have a question.
Yes.
How come we're doing like 5x and 3x, and then on the ones on the front, we're doing 5x and x?
Ah, well,
Is this called something?
how do you make a 5? What times what makes 5?
Well, what about 4? So it has to be what multiplies to it, not what adds to it?
Yes.
But what about 4? You can do 2x and 3x.
Not to make 3. What times what makes 3?
Oh.
What times what makes 3?
No, I'm saying for 4.
What?
Yeah, just has like.
No, multiply. Giselle, it's Monday morning. It's been, daylight savings time. What times what makes 5?
I was just confused because I thought that it was the numbers in parentheses added to it.
Ah, it's multiply. That was, gotcha. So let me clarify, you guys. So what times what? What times what? Shh, shh, shh. What times what makes 15? Giselle?
So if it's 4x squared, do you want us doing 4x and x or 2x and 2x?
We don't know until we try it. That's a really good question. I didn't put one up there like that, did I? But that's a really, so look at 5. 5 answers your question. Looking at 5? Giselle, look at 5. I could have used 6 and 1. That's what Retta wanted, was use 6 and 1, right? Could have. It wouldn't have worked, but I could have tried it, right? 6 and 1 could have worked, but it didn't.
Why wouldn't it work?
Because we wouldn't have been able to make a 13 with it. Here, try it. Try it real quick.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
6x, 1x, and 5 and 1 makes an 11, right? See the 11? Do you see an 11? Do you see 11? 6 and 5? Doesn't make a 13, does it? Okay, now let's go back to 6. What times, we've got to have a positive and a negative. What times what makes 3? So, ready? What times what makes a negative 3? Hello, hello.
3 and 1.
3 and 1, let's try it. 3 and 1. Are we right? Well, let's check it. Let's check it.
Are you for me?
You are right, but let's find out why you are right.
Oh, for me?
So, I got a 9x and a 5x. How could that make a 4? How could that make a positive 4?
-5.
Right, so we need the negative 5, so we need the negative 1 here, Brian, and the pause here. Good job, Brian. That is the correct answer. Now, number 5 is number 6. Obviously, the other number 6. Somebody can't count today. Before I do anything, if I can make the problem smaller, look at this. If I can make the problem smaller, it makes it easier.
Can't we divide it by 2?
Yes, we're going to common factor out of 2x squared plus 12x Oops, 7x, my bad. I cannot do anything today, 12. There you go. Now, we did this problem before. Okay, now, ignore for a second, there's an x squared. What times what makes 12 that adds to 7? What times what makes 12 that adds to 7? 3 and 4, but I knew what you meant. Yeah, it's Monday. X plus 3, x plus 4. So, if you can... I know. Well, luckily I'm doing a geometry lesson. If you can common factor, do so. All right, last example, then we'll take a brain break, okay? Can you make it easier? On number 7, can you make it easier? How can you make it easier? Can you make it a smaller problem? Yes. Okay, I know you guys are paying attention. I'm going to make this problem smaller by common factoring out of 2. Yeah.
I found a different answer for number 6.
No, okay, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got.
2x plus 8 and 1x plus 3.
Yes, except for, I'm going to say this. Yes. I could, what do these two have in common? Yes, Ray, you're totally right, but I can do more. These two have a common multiple of 2, don't they? So if I take out the 2, then it's factored completely. This is correct, but we can do more. Does that make sense? Okay, last but not least. If I can make the problem smaller, I will. If I can make the problem smaller, I will. So if I common factor out of 2, the numbers inside are smaller. That makes sense, right? Make the problem easier. So if I can common factor, I will. So then, I'm going to go back to what times what makes a 6x squared. What do you want to use?
3.
Okay, let's use a 3x and a 2x, right? And then what times what makes a negative 10?
1, negative 10.
I wouldn't go with that, though, because I'll show you why. Can you see if you could put the 10 here, you're going to get a 30? Do you just see right here you'd have a 30?
Yeah.
Cass, that's... How about 2 and 5?
2 and 5. I was just about to say
I
that.
did one.
What'd you do, Retta?
Negative 2 and 10.
2 and 5, not 10.
Yeah.
Oh, you probably didn't take out the 2, did you? I took out a 2 to make it easier.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think that.
I like 2 and 5, though. So, Retta, you're not wrong, but you can take yours further. 2 and 5 is awesome. Why do I know 2 and 5 is so good? Actually, 2 and 5 is not. Oh, no, that will. No, that'll work. It will work.
Really?
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
4 and 15.
So if we had a negative 15 and a positive 4, we'd get it, right? 4x, negative 15x, we got it. Okay, now, if we're going to take a walk, you guys lost privileges before. We don't want to lose privileges. If we're going to walk outside, we don't disrupt other classes. If we have to use the bathroom, we go to the bathroom. We don't go find cabs, or we get cookies. We walk out, come back.
These are
He's a cool guy, isn't he?
Oh, I feel like a lot of teachers are asking.
My pocket. Uncle Pockets.
My keys are in the food service.
They had extra clearance built in.
There you go.
We like to split opposite
Would you
ways.
be considered a cougar? No, you wouldn't.
Oh, I know that is too. But I am a cougar because of my college. Because of my college.
That makes sense.
I'm a cougar because of my college.
Alright, what'd you do?
Yeah. You too. You too.
Okay, but mine wouldn't go.
He like doesn't do that.
Really?
I'll just make him. Just force him. I'll just tell us more a little bit. Like she'll be like,
Yeah, you have to go.
That's a good one. They're still not. How do you feel? I probably want to go. On Friday. That's what
oh, my team.
I'm gonna go Rome.
You want my team? No.
Rome. I'm gonna go pick a lap. I'm gonna go. I love you guys. We're gonna pick a lap, guys.
Oh, I wanna go with.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. Let's get
Exodus for people with female gender in the bathroom.
I'm gonna get a brain break tomorrow at all.
It's just a bathroom break, that's all it is.
My goodness gracious, we're like cats, huh? Gotta herd my cat's back. Okay, we do have work, we really do.
This kid's going to be a herder right now. Without a flaw.
You left the video on.
Oh shoot, did I really?
Yeah.
Darn it, that's really bad. Shoot, a lot of blank space.
Just edit it.
Well, I can't, I don't know how.
I could do it.
Can you do it? All right.